Hey Husker fans, this is Sam McKewon with the Omaha World-Herald. This is our preview for the Nebraska women's basketball NCAA tournament matchup with Gonzaga and then a potential matchup with Louisville over the weekend. So the Huskers are playing in Louisville this weekend at the Yum Center. They'll play Gonzaga first, the 9th-seeded Bulldogs, and then if they win that, trust me, they're going to play Louisville definitely play Louisville on Sunday. So they play on Friday, and then they might play on Sunday if they beat Gonzaga. Let's start with this. The Nebraska women's basketball team had a great season, right? So they're 24-8, really solid performances all the way through. They got better as the season went on in some ways, especially offensively. Alexis Markowski was one of the reasons. As she developed as a post player and then was also able to hit those three-pointers on the outside, it freed up some other things for other players on the floor, particularly Izzy Bourne. So as Markowski got better, it gave Nebraska more offensive options for Jazz Shelley, who's the point guard, and probably the reason that Nebraska is as good this season as they are is because of Shelley. An Oregon transfer who has come in and really kind of runs the offense, a naturally unselfish player who's able to distribute. Probably needs to hunt her shot a little bit more in the NCAA tournament, but in terms of the regular season, she was kind of the straw that stirred the drink, so to speak, to borrow a quote from Reggie Jackson back in the day. So Shelley's a key piece. Obviously, Sam Hybe is a really important piece, too. She is a player that's going to have to score in the NCAA tournament, and she might be one of the few players who can get to the rim consistently. Sometimes you've got to have a player who can just go get it, and Hybe's able to do that. If people remember the quarterfinal game of the Big Ten tournament, she was able to do that late against Michigan. The Huskers have a pretty well-balanced team, but they're going to be playing a Gonzaga team that I think a lot of people would say, okay, they're a 9 seed, and that's the highest seed the Gonzaga women have had, but they probably could be a 7 or a 6 seed, and Nebraska could be about that too. So these are two pretty talented teams, probably playing a little lower seeded games than might have been expected. What is Gonzaga? Well, they're 26-6. They are very athletic. They're quick. They do a really good job of defending. They don't let a lot of easy baskets get to the rim. They only had 2 teams that scored more than 70 points this year against them. They're really good. They've held a lot of teams to around 50 to 55. That's going to be challenging for a team like Nebraska that doesn't necessarily have a ton of players who can get to the rim on their own. Hybe can kind of do that. Allison Widener can kind of do that a little bit. And also, at times Jazz Shelley. So the Huskers are going to have to hit threes. And then on the other side, Gonzaga's guards are pretty quick. They have twins, Kaylee and Kaylin Trong. Those are the twins. And then they have Melody Kempton, who's not a three-point shooter. She kind of just gets to the rim. She's similar to Bourne in that she's able to make shots from about 12 to 15 feet in. This is a quick team. They're going to be pretty athletic, and Nebraska's got to find a way to stay in front of some of these guards, or otherwise they're going to have some good days. They have a really good three-point shooter in Sierra Walker. She doesn't do much more than shoot three-pointers, so she's going to be their three-point option. And they've got some size inside. They've got some bigger players who can rebound. They've been out-rebounding opponents by about 10 per game. They've got players who, that's kind of their role, is to rebound and block shots. And then they've got some players who make shots, like the Trong twins. And then they've got some players that can do a little bit of everything. This is a good, balanced team that Nebraska's going to play, and we'll see how they do. The last time they were in the NCAA tournament, it didn't go that well. They played Arizona State, a team that I would compare to this Gonzaga team, and Nebraska got out-rebounded and kind of out-athleted. And then Nebraska's going to have to guard against that again on Friday. I think Nebraska's got a good chance to win this game, but I expect it to be tight, and I expect it to be fairly low scoring. I think the Huskers are going to have to pull it out late. If for some reason they're able to advance, and I think that they've got a decent chance of doing that, they will then play Louisville on Sunday. Guarantee that, because I believe there's only been 2 number 1 seeds that have ever lost in the first round of the NCAA women's tournament, and Louisville, I don't believe, was one of those teams. And here's the thing about Louisville. They love to press. They love to run. They love to turn teams over. They've got 278 steals on the season. They play really good defense, too, and they like to play aggressively and athletically. What's interesting about this game is if Nebraska gets there, first of all, they have a very slight chance of winning. We need to be honest about that. Usually 1 seeds do not lose on their home floor. But Jazz Shelley is a good enough point guard to be able to break a press with some consistency. And if you can break what Louisville is doing, if you can break their sort of backcourt pressure that Jeff Walz likes to do, you got a shot in the front court. You can make some shots. You're going to get some open shots against Louisville if you can get through their defense. And Jaz Shelley is a good enough point guard to be able to pull that off. She played Louisville last year, actually, in the NCAA tournament when she was part of Oregon's team. So this is going to be somewhat familiar to her. Nebraska's got to be able to break that press, and if they do, they're going to have opportunities in the front court. Louisville is not what I would describe a super offensive team. They're pretty good from three. They shoot 36.6%, about 37% from three, and they've got some decent shooters. I would not describe them as a great shooting team. Generally, they shoot about 45% from the floor. They don't have to be a great shooting team because they smother people with their defense, and they score a lot off turnovers, and they create a lot of havoc, and they win games that way. I don't know that Louisville is going to be a team that makes it all the way to the Final Four. In fact, I'd be a little surprised if they did. But I think they're going to have a distinct advantage over Nebraska in terms of their depth and in terms of their athleticism. But again, teams that like to apply a lot of pressure, you can beat them if your point guard can get through them. And I think Jaz Shelley has a chance. If there's one thing that I like about Nebraska is they've got pretty good dribbling guards. Sam Hybe's a pretty good dribbler. Widener's tough to turn over. So if Nebraska can get through that pressure, they'll have a shot. My hunch, Nebraska's going to maybe eke out a game against Gonzaga, and then they're going to struggle to beat Louisville, and they might play them within 10 points, but ultimately I think the Cardinals might pull it out. I don't love Nebraska's first-round matchup. There's other teams that I think they could have faced that would have been better first-round matchups. For example, if you told me they were going to play Michigan again, I'd like that. Gonzaga's a little bit different. It's possible that Nebraska can just shoot over them and make a bunch of plays and win that game by 10 or 15 points, but my hunch is it's going to come down to the last minutes, and it's going to come down to one of Nebraska's guards making a play, maybe Alexis Markowski making a play late. I don't think it's going to be easy for her on Friday. I don't think it's going to be easy for Bourne. I don't think it's going to be easy for Nebraska in general to score, but maybe they pull that one out and then they go into Sunday. We'll see what happens. We'll have full coverage. This is Sam McKewon with the Omaha World-Herald. Thanks, Husker fans.